Welcome all. In this video, we are going to talk about kickoff meeting. We will be covering a few topics here related to kickoff meeting. We'll specifically look into what is kickoff meeting, what is the purpose, what will be the agenda in kickoff meeting, what are the various advantages related to kickoff meeting, who should attend, and what should be the duration of kickoff meeting. Also, we'll look at few basic templates of kickoff meetings, and we'll also look at the checklist especially related to kickoff meetings. So this whole topic will be covered, all these topics will be covered in this video. Along with that, you can go through the quiz section. The link for the quiz is also given in the description box. So let us start with the topic. What is kickoff meeting? Let us try to understand the basics behind this. Kickoff meeting is the first meeting between project team and client or any other stakeholder whosoever is involved in the project. The main agenda here is to discuss the basic elements and overall planning activities, how we are going to proceed. So you can say this is conducted at the beginning and will be the first meeting to start the project execution. Now this can be utilized as a very important tool for project management plan development process. Okay, so once we know that we have started something, we can look into the various activities so that we can plan it. So this is just a first project meeting during the initiation phase of the project, so that we are saying we are kicking off. Okay, we are kickoff meeting is we are starting something, initiation phase of project life cycle. So this is the first meeting and we all meet, all the stakeholders meet together, they discuss the basic element and they start the project life cycle. Now let us talk about the purpose of kickoff meeting. Why we conduct this? We know we are starting, we are conducting this at the beginning of the project, but what is the purpose here? The main agenda here is to lay down the foundation for a successful project. Whosoever stakeholders are involved in the project, the main agenda will always be to make it successful. So the first meeting is the foundation of that intention. First formal meeting of team members with client. Okay, as we discussed, this is the first meeting. This meeting introduces project client team members. Okay, why we are saying we introduce the project, we discuss what are the requirements, how we are going to meet those requirements. Then at the same time all the team members are introduced. Okay, this is an opportunity. The main purpose here is to provide an opportunity to understand each other's role, who will be involved, who will be leading, right, who will be planning. All those things will be discussed in this meeting. Then we try to understand the project background. Okay, client will be there or all stakeholders will be there, they can always try to understand what is the background of that project, what is the goal of that project, what are the constraints in that project. So we try to understand how we are going to proceed, how we are going to plan the activities. Overall project goal is set during the kickoff meeting. So once all the stakeholders meet, they discuss about the background, they discuss about the activities, they plan those activities. So that means we are setting up the overall goal. If any confusion is there, clarification can be provided. Clarification of roles, whosoever is involved, how they are going to contribute in the project, those clarifications will be given. Once we all meet, all the stakeholders meet, they establish mutual trust and understanding. So once we know who is responsible for what, then the trust and understanding is developed. So this is also one of the purposes. Starting the project client relationship well with an agreement to work collaboratively. So we try to understand who is responsible for what. At that time we can always identify what kind of gaps are there, how we are going to fill those gaps, right? So that kind of collaborativity will be there. Setting the tone of the project. Once we discuss all these things, the tone of the project will be set. Confidence in the client, right? This all discussion will help client to build confidence that the team members are there, who is responsible for what is the capability, how they are going to proceed. This all discussion, all these discussions, all these activities will build confidence so that we can start our project life cycle. Okay, so once we decide the goals and steps, the customer gains confidence, and once we discuss the team responsibility, their capability, this again adds confidence. So this is the purpose of kickoff meeting. Now let us discuss about the agenda. If we are having any meeting, there should be some agenda, right? So we know what is kickoff meeting and what is the purpose of that. So let us try to understand what is the agenda, how we set the agenda, what are the major items we need to cover during kickoff meetings. So first of all, there will be welcome note and introduction of team members. Okay, we need to know who is sitting there, who is going to get involved into the project, who is going to execute those project activities. So first introduction round will be there, then project background and project objectives. What is the background and how, what we are going to achieve, what is our goal, those will be discussed so that everybody is clear what is the background and how we are going to achieve our goals. Project plan, approach presentation, how we are going to approach to reach to achieve all the objectives. Statement of work, scope and deliverables. This is something which is again discussed, although the deliverable list will be at broader level, but there will be list of deliverables which are going to get delivered during the course of project. Roles and responsibilities, like we know all team members are there, all team leads will be there, so we need to define the roles and responsibilities. This will also clarify the scope, how the scope is covered, how the deliverables will be delivered. Collaboration and communication plan, like at each stage there will be requirement of communication, all the deliverables will be sent from uh, one resource to another, one office to another, so there will be communication plan, how we are going to communicate, who is going to communicate, right, who will distribute the deliverables or any other information to all these stakeholders. So all these communication collaboration plans will be discussed. Establish rule for future communication and meetings, how frequently we are going to meet, how, what will be agenda of those meetings, right? So those kind of rules and regulations will be established during kickoff meeting. Then schedules, timeline, progress tracking, how we are going to schedule, what will be the major milestones, right, how we are going to track the progress. All these protocols will be discussed during kickoff meeting. Then again there will be question and answer. If any of the team members have any questions or they need any clarification, that can be discussed, because all these stakeholders are available during kickoff meeting, so they can always discuss, they can always get clarifications. So this is the total agenda. These basic items are generally covered in any of the kickoff meetings. We talked about what is kickoff meeting, purpose, agenda. Now let us talk about few of the advantages. Okay, first of all, the main and topmost advantage is that all the team members get acquainted with each other. They come to know who is involved, what is their responsibility, how they are going to execute, what are their capabilities. So they get acquainted with each other. All the team members, when they're sitting together, they're discussing about the project requirements, they get better clarity, better understanding of the project objectives. This is major advantage. When we know what is our goal, we can always achieve it. It allows all the stakeholders to understand the milestones, how we are going to reach it, what are the risks involved, what kind of assumptions we are going to take, and what kind of constraints are there. So these, once these four things are clear to everybody, they can always move toward a common goal. It gets stakeholders on the same page. Okay, when we are discussing all the milestones, risk, assumptions, constraints, and we have a common objective, and we all are sitting together, then we will come on the same page. So this is the most important advantage of having a kickoff meeting. The project kickoff meeting assists the project manager to gain the support from stakeholder. In the end, it is the project manager who is going to get responsible for the success and failure of the project. So once the project manager meets all the stakeholders, all the team members, all the leaders, right, they get good confidence out of all these members. Again, attendees get an opportunity to clarify their doubts. If any doubt is there while discussing all the milestones, risks, assumptions and constraints, if any doubt is there, they can get clarified in the same meeting itself. So these are the advantages of kickoff meeting. That is why this is conducted at the beginning of the project. So let us talk about who should attend the kickoff meeting and what should be the duration of kickoff meeting. So as we know, this is conducted at the beginning of the project, so it is always better to involve all the stakeholders so that everybody is clear about the objectives, everybody is clear about the risks, constraints and the milestones. So but in case of large projects, it is not possible to invite all the team members, right? But in that scenario also, all the project manager, team leads and key working people should be invited, right? Even if it is not possible to invite all the big team member to big teams, we can always send an invite. They can always join through video or web conferencing, but it is always better to involve all the resources. Now let us talk about the duration, how long this meeting should be. Ideally it should be completed within an hour. When we are clear about what we are going to present, we talked about the agenda. Once it is clear, we can quickly present it. If any doubts are there, we can always discuss. But in case of large projects, it can end up to 2 hours or maybe half day, or it can be extended more than one day also. But we need to ensure that the agenda points are covered. For very big project, as we discussed, it is not possible to discuss each and every point in a short duration. So this can be discussed phase wise. For each phase, the kickoff meeting can be conducted, right? So this is how we can say who should attend and what should be the duration of kickoff meeting. It depends on the size of the project. If size is smaller, then of course the people will be lesser and duration will be shorter. If the big projects are involved, then it can be elaborated and it can be handled in a different manner. Now let us talk about basic template of kickoff meeting. What should be covered, how the kickoff meeting should be planned. First of all, we need to explain the project background so that everybody knows about it. As we discussed, all the stakeholders are present, so project background is the first thing which should be presented or which should be covered. Then purpose of the project, why we are going to execute that project, that has to be explained. So project background and purpose, this is the first thing which has to be there in the template of any kickoff meeting. Then we need to discuss the scope, whosoever is involved, what they are going to do, what are their roles and responsibility, how they are what they are going to do in the current project. Then project timelines. Okay, without timeline any project is we cannot say it is a project. Project basic definition is it is having a start point and end point, so the timelines has to be defined. Roles and responsibilities of key contributing members, although there will be team members along with the team leads or key members, but these roles and responsibility has to be discussed and defined. Then if any misunderstanding is there, any clarification is required, that has to be clarified during kickoff meeting only. So these 6 are the minimum key points which has to be there in any kickoff meeting. Now when we can say that we have conducted or we are going to conduct a kickoff meeting, we need to have a checklist with us, right? So that the purpose of kickoff meeting is fulfilled. So first of all, this checklist should, we based on this checklist we should check whether the scope is defined, objectives are clear. Okay, this has to be defined. As we discussed here also, this is a part of template also. We need to check whether in the template, whether although we have covered in the template, whether it is actually defined or not, scope is clear to everybody or not, objectives are clear to everybody or not. So this is checkpoint. Risk identification, right? This is a major thing. This has to be identified during kickoff meeting. or maybe prior to that, maybe we can discuss the risk identification. Or if any key member who is present in the kickoff meeting, they can also identify the risks if any. Then time bound deliverable. Time bound is an important term. Time bound deliverable list will be there, but we need to allocate time period for that. If any explanation or clarification is required with respect to any time bound deliverable, or if any of the key members think that there should be additional time for a particular deliverable, that can be discussed. Proper team building with defined roles and responsibilities, right? So all the stakeholders whosoever are present there in the kickoff meeting, they are uh, responsible, what are, and it has to be defined in the kickoff meeting itself, what are their roles and responsibilities to achieve these objectives, right? There should be communication plan also. Who is going to send the communication, what kind of protocols will be there, right? Whether they are going to store these emails or any deliverables, or these will be sent through email only. So those kind of communication plans has to be finalized during kickoff meeting. Then progress and milestone. We need to know how we are going to track these. We know what kind of deliverables will be there, what are the time period for those deliverables, but how we are going to track it, right? So those kind of protocols has to be defined. And tools, what kind of software we are going to use, right, for all the team members. So those kind of things are also checked, whether these are discussed or not, whether these are required or not. Agenda, handouts, presentation slides, right? So these has to be distributed. These are also one of the checkpoints, right? Whatever we have discussed in the meeting, those slides has to be distributed to all the key members. So this is all about basic template of kickoff meeting and checklist of kickoff meeting.